6 simple habits that make you attractive. The truth is, most people are chasing attention, but very few command presence. There is a difference. Attention is loud, desperate, and temporary. Presence is silent, controlled, and unforgettable. The kind of person people can't ignore isn't the one trying the hardest. It's the one who has mastered themselves. Before we go deeper, pause for a moment. If you're here to become stronger, sharper, and more respected without begging for validation, subscribe now. This channel is for those who want real power, the quiet kind that changes how the world reacts to you. Now understand this: attraction is not about looks. It is not about status. It is not even about what you say. It is about energy, control, discipline, and most importantly, who you are when no one is watching. The first shift begins in silence. Most people are uncomfortable with silence. They rush to fill it. They talk too much, explain too much, try too hard to be liked. But the Stoic learns something different. Silence is power. When you speak less, your words carry weight. When you observe more, you understand people deeper than they understand themselves. When you are comfortable in silence, you become unpredictable, and that creates intrigue. Think about it: the most respected person in the room is rarely the loudest. They are calm, they listen, they choose their words carefully, and when they finally speak, everyone pays attention. That is not by accident. It is discipline. Now imagine walking into a room and not feeling the need to impress anyone. No need to prove anything. No urge to chase approval. That quiet confidence, that grounded presence, is magnetic. People feel it instantly. Another transformation comes from emotional control. Most people are ruled by their emotions. They react quickly. They get offended easily. They lose control over small things. But the Stoic refuses to be controlled. When insulted, they don't explode. When challenged, they don't panic. When things go wrong, they don't collapse. They remain steady. And that steadiness is rare. In a world full of emotional chaos, the person who stays calm becomes a pillar. Someone others subconsciously trust. Someone others are drawn toward. Because stability feels safe. And safety creates attraction. But this is not weakness. This is strength under control. Anyone can react. Very few can remain composed. And that composure is deeply attractive. Then there is discipline. Not the kind people talk about for motivation. Real discipline. Waking up when you don't feel like it, doing what needs to be done even when no one is watching. Choosing growth over comfort again and again. Discipline shapes your body, your mind, your habits, and eventually, your identity. And identity is what people respond to when someone sees that you are consistent, reliable, focused. They see someone who is in control of their life. And control is attractive, because most people feel out of control. So when they encounter someone who is grounded, structured, and self-directed, it stands out. You don't need to announce it. They see it in how you move, how you speak, how you carry yourself. Now consider this: most people are addicted to validation. They want to be liked, approved, accepted, so they adjust themselves constantly. They say what others want to hear. They act how others expect. They shrink to fit into spaces that were never meant for them. But the Stoic does the opposite. They detach. They stop chasing approval. They become comfortable being misunderstood. And this changes everything. Because when you don't need validation, you become free. And freedom is powerful. People can sense when you are not trying to impress them. It creates curiosity. It creates respect. It creates attraction. Not because you are trying, but because you are not, and that paradox is what makes it so effective. Another layer is presence. Most people are physically somewhere but mentally everywhere else. Scrolling, thinking, distracted. But when you are fully present, when you give someone your undivided attention, it becomes rare. And rarity increases value. When you look someone in the eye and truly listen, they feel it. When you respond thoughtfully instead of reactively, they notice. When you are grounded in the moment instead of scattered across distractions, your energy becomes focused. And focused energy is compelling. It pulls people in without effort. Because in a distracted world, presence feels like connection. And connection is what people crave. But perhaps the most powerful shift is self-respect. Everything begins here. If you don't respect yourself, no habit will save you. Self-respect is not arrogance. It is not ego. It is knowing your worth without needing to prove it. It is setting boundaries without guilt. It is walking away from what drains you. It is choosing yourself, not in a selfish way, but in a disciplined, grounded way. When you respect your time, others respect it too. When you respect your standards, others rise to meet them or fall away. And when you respect your path, you stop comparing yourself to others. That alone changes your entire energy. Because comparison creates insecurity, and insecurity destroys attraction. But self-respect builds something else. Certainty. And certainty is magnetic. Now take a step back and look at all of this together. Silence, emotional control, discipline, detachment, presence, self-respect. None of these are flashy. None of these require you to chase attention. But together, they transform you into someone people naturally gravitate toward. Not because you are trying to attract them, but because you have become someone worth noticing. This is the Stoic way. It is not about being liked by everyone. It is about becoming someone who doesn't need to be. And ironically, that is exactly what makes people notice you. So the real question is not, how do I become attractive? The real question is, who do I need to become so that attraction happens naturally? Start there. Build yourself in silence. Control your reactions. Stay disciplined when it's hard. Detach from what you cannot control. Be fully present where you are. Respect yourself enough to walk your own path. Do this consistently, and you won't need to chase attention ever again. It will come to you. Quietly, naturally, powerfully. And when it does, you will understand something most people never learn. True attraction is not something you create. It is something you become. Good. Now we go deeper. Because surface-level habits create attention, but depth creates obsession. Most people will never admit this, but they are constantly performing. Every conversation, every post, every reaction, carefully adjusted to get approval. They laugh louder than they feel. They agree when they don't mean it. They pretend confidence while feeling uncertain inside. And over time, this creates something dangerous, a loss of identity. Because when you are always adjusting yourself to fit others, you slowly forget who you are. The Stoic refuses this trap. Instead of performing, they align. What they think matches what they say. What they say matches how they act. There is no gap. And that alignment creates authenticity. Now understand this clearly. Authenticity is rare. And rare things are attractive. When someone meets you and senses that you are real, not filtered, not forced, not pretending, it creates a powerful effect. They relax around you. They trust you. They remember you, not because you tried to impress them, but because you didn't. And that is what makes you stand out in a world full of masks. There is also something most people completely overlook: mystery. Not fake mystery, not playing games, but the natural mystery that comes from restraint. You don't reveal everything about yourself immediately. You don't overshare your plans, your struggles, your emotions to everyone. You move with intention, because when everything is exposed, nothing feels valuable. But when there is depth beneath the surface, people become curious. They want to understand you. They want to know more. And curiosity is the beginning of attraction. The Stoic understands that not everything needs to be said. Some things are built quietly. Some things are revealed over time. And some things are kept, just for yourself. That level of control over what you reveal and when you reveal it, creates intrigue without effort. Now consider how most people handle rejection. They take it personally. They chase harder. They try to prove their worth. But this only weakens their position. Because chasing signals dependence, and dependence kills attraction. The Stoic sees rejection differently. Not as failure, but as information. If something is not meant for you, forcing it will only lower your value. So instead of chasing, they step back. They redirect their energy. They continue building themselves. And here is the shift. When you stop chasing what is not choosing you, you create space for what truly aligns with you. And that energy shift is powerful. Because now, instead of needing something, you become someone others need to earn access to. That changes everything. Another overlooked habit. Slowing down. Most people rush everything. They rush conversations. They rush decisions. They rush relationships. And in doing so, they reveal impatience. But patience is power. When you move calmly, speak slowly, and think before acting, you signal control. You show that you are not desperate for outcomes. And that lack of urgency makes people pay attention. Because urgency often comes from fear. Fear of losing. Fear of missing out. Fear of not being enough. But when you are grounded, you don't rush. You choose. And people feel that difference immediately. There is also a quiet strength in being selective. Not everyone deserves your time. Not every opportunity deserves your energy. Not every conversation deserves your attention. But most people say yes to everything, because they are afraid of missing out. The Stoic does the opposite. They choose carefully. They protect their time like it matters, because it does. And this selectiveness increases your value. Because when you are not easily available, your presence becomes meaningful. People notice when access to you is limited. They respect it more. They appreciate it more. And most importantly, they don't take it for granted. Now let's go even deeper into something that silently shapes everything: your internal dialogue. How you speak to yourself when no one is around. Most people are harsh on themselves. Doubtful, negative, insecure, and that inner voice eventually shows on the outside. In posture, in tone, in energy. But the Stoic trains their mind. They don't allow useless thoughts to dominate. They question negativity. They replace weakness with clarity. Because your mind is not just reacting to reality, it is shaping it. When your inner world is stable, your outer presence becomes strong. And people can feel that strength even if they can't explain it. And then comes one of the most powerful shifts of all, letting go of the need to control everything. You cannot control how people see you. You cannot control how they respond. You cannot control every outcome. But you can control yourself, your actions, your mindset, your discipline. And when you fully accept this, you become lighter, less anxious, less reactive, less attached, and that emotional freedom changes how people experience you. You become calm in situations where others are tense. You become steady where others are unstable. And that contrast is incredibly attractive. Now imagine this version of yourself. You walk into a room without needing approval. You speak without needing validation. You act without seeking attention. You are calm, controlled, present, and grounded. You don't chase. You don't force. You don't pretend. You simply are. And because of that, people notice you more than ever before. Not because you demanded attention, but because your presence earned it. This is where most people get it wrong. They try to become attractive by adding more talking, more showing off, more effort. But the Stoic becomes attractive by removing what is unnecessary. The noise, the neediness, the insecurity. What remains is something rare. Clarity. And clarity is powerful. So if you are serious about transforming yourself, stop asking how to be liked. Start asking how to be solid. Because when you are solid within yourself, everything outside begins to align. Respect comes naturally. Attention follows effortlessly. Attraction becomes inevitable, not because you chased it, but because you built yourself into someone who naturally commands it. And remember this, you don't need everyone to notice you. You only need to become someone impossible to ignore by those who truly matter. That is the difference between temporary attention and lasting impact. Now everything comes together, not as ideas, but as identity. At some point, you stop trying to become attractive, because you realize something deeper. Attraction was never the goal. Power was. Not loud power, not dominance over others, but quiet, unshakable control over yourself. You begin to notice the shift. You no longer react to everything. You no longer explain yourself to everyone. You no longer chase what doesn't choose you. And in that space, something powerful grows. Clarity. You see people for who they are. You see situations without emotional distortion. You see yourself without illusion. And that level of awareness changes how you move. You become more selective with your time, with your energy, with your attention, not out of ego, but out of understanding. Because you finally realize that your life is shaped by what you allow. And once you see that clearly, you stop allowing anything that weakens you. There is a calmness in you now, not because life is easy, but because you are no longer fragile. Challenges come, and you face them. Pressure builds, and you hold steady. People misunderstand you, and you remain grounded. That stability becomes your foundation. And people feel it even when you say nothing. You don't need to prove your worth anymore. Because you've built it in silence, in discipline, in moments no one ever saw. That is where real confidence comes from. Not from attention, but from evidence. And here is the truth most people will never understand. The less you seek validation, the more valuable you become. The less you chase attention, the more attention finds you. The less you try to impress, the more impressive you become. Because everything has shifted. You are no longer operating from lack. You are operating from completeness. You don't need approval to feel enough. You don't need recognition to feel strong. You don't need others to define your value. And that independence is what makes you truly attractive. Now look at yourself, not who you were, but who you are becoming. Someone who is calm under pressure. Someone who speaks with intention. Someone who moves with discipline. Someone who stands alone if necessary, without fear. That is rare. And rare is powerful. Most people will continue chasing shortcuts. Trying to be seen. Trying to be liked. Trying to be accepted. But you've stepped onto a different path. A quieter one. A harder one. A real one. And if you stay on this path, if you keep refining yourself, controlling your mind, strengthening your habits, there will come a moment where everything changes. Not suddenly, but undeniably. People will start noticing you differently. Respect will come without you asking for it. Attention will come without you chasing it. Opportunities will come without you forcing them. And you'll understand why. Because you didn't build an image, you built yourself. So from this moment forward, walk with intention, speak with purpose, control what you can, and release what you cannot. Stay disciplined when it's difficult. Stay silent when it's necessary. Stay grounded no matter what happens. And never forget this. You are not here to compete for attention. You are here to become someone who naturally commands it. If this message changed how you think even slightly, stay connected. Subscribe, and keep building yourself, because the version of you that does not need validation is the version the world cannot ignore.